Here's something you might not know. The famous 28 days the Lutz family spent in the Amityville house. That timeline is a lot shakier than most people realize, and it's a detail that's been repeated so often, it's become almost legendary. The legend says they fled after 4 weeks of relentless terror, but the real story is much messier, tangled up in rumors, conflicting accounts, and a media frenzy that was eager for a headline. The neat, marketable timeline was likely a storytelling device, not a hard fact. It's the kind of detail that makes for a great book blurb or movie tagline, but doesn't always hold up under scrutiny. When you dig into interviews and records, the dates blur and the narrative unravels. Some sources suggest the family's stay was shorter, others hint it was longer, and the specifics seem to shift depending on who's telling the story. This doesn't mean nothing happened, it just means the story was packaged for maximum impact, shaped to fit the expectations of a public hungry for a chilling tale. Real life is rarely as tidy as a horror novel. The chaos, confusion, and uncertainty often get edited out in favor of a cleaner, more dramatic narrative. Maybe the 28 days was an estimate, or maybe it was an embellishment that grew with each retelling. It's hard to say for sure. Questioning this detail is the first step in separating Hollywood horror from reality. It's a reminder to look past the headlines and dig deeper. The Amityville case is a perfect example of how legends are built on shaky foundations, where fact and fiction blend until it's hard to tell them apart. Was it a haunting, a breakdown, or a hoax? Or maybe a little bit of all three, mixed together by time and retelling? The truth starts with questioning the timeline, and not taking every detail at face value. That catchy 28 days is our doorway into a much deeper mystery, one that's still waiting to be fully understood. Meet the Lutz family. George, Kathy, and her 3 kids, Daniel, Christopher, and Missy. They were a blended family, eager to start a new chapter together, hoping for stability and happiness after years of change. Like many families, they dreamed of a place to call their own, a home where they could build memories and find peace. In late 1975, they found what seemed like the perfect home at 112 Ocean Avenue, Amityville, a striking Dutch colonial with a pool, a boathouse, and plenty of space for the kids. Even better, it was offered at a price that seemed almost too good to be true, making it feel like fate had finally smiled on them. The catch? The house's dark history. Just a year earlier, a shocking tragedy had unfolded within its walls, leaving a stain that lingered in the neighborhood's memory. The Lutzes knew about the murders that had taken place, but they believed the horror was tied to the previous family, not the house itself. They reasoned that a home is just a structure, and that love and new beginnings could erase the past. To be safe, they invited a priest to bless the house, hoping that a spiritual cleansing would be enough to start fresh and keep any lingering darkness at bay. Their decision to buy, fully aware of the home's history, reveals their mindset. They saw a rare opportunity for a new life and believed their optimism and faith would protect them. On December 18, 1975, the Lutzes moved in, filled with hope for their first Christmas in the new house and the promise of many happy years ahead. They believed the dark chapter was behind them and that the house would finally become a true home. But their optimism faded fast as unsettling events began to unfold, shattering their sense of security. The dream home soon felt like a nightmare, with unexplained noises and a growing sense of dread creeping into their daily lives. The very walls they hoped would shelter them, according to their account, seemed to turn against them, as if the house itself rejected their presence. The Lutz story isn't just about a haunted house. It's about a dream that slowly twisted into a desperate struggle for safety, sanity, and survival. Their journey from hopeful homeowners to terrified refugees is the heart of the Amityville mystery, a chilling reminder that sometimes the past refuses to stay buried. To understand the Lutz's ordeal, you have to know what happened before. On November 13, 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. murdered his parents and 4 siblings as they slept at 112 Ocean Avenue. All 6 victims were found face down, no signs of struggle, and neighbors heard nothing, fueling endless speculation. DeFeo's story changed repeatedly, but he eventually claimed voices in the house told him to kill. Was he insane, or was something truly sinister at work? This tragedy planted the seed for the Amityville legend, a house stained by unimaginable violence. When the Lutzes moved in, they inherited not just a home, but a psychological burden. The DeFeo murders gave the Lutzes' later claims a terrifying context. The Lutzes' first day in the house set the tone for everything that followed. They asked Father Ray Pecoraro to bless the home. In one bedroom, he reportedly heard a deep voice command, "Get out!" and felt an invisible slap. The family soon noticed the house was always cold. Strange odors appeared and vanished, and George became obsessed with the fireplace. He started waking at 3 to 15 a.m., the time of the DeFeo murders. Kathy had nightmares about the killings and felt an unseen presence. Missy, the youngest, made an imaginary friend named Jody, a pig-like creature with glowing red eyes. These events, odd on their own, together painted a picture of a family under siege. The phenomena were subtle but relentless, eroding their sense of safety. The house wasn't just a backdrop, it was an active, unsettling presence. The Lutzes' dream home was quickly becoming a place of fear. The haunting had begun. As weeks passed, the activity escalated. Swarms of flies appeared in winter, black stains oozed from walls, and green slime showed up on carpets. A crucifix was found inverted, and the house seemed to rebel against them. George's health declined. Kathy found unexplained welts, and Daniel's hand was crushed by a window that slammed shut. The family was exhausted, anxious, and on edge. Noises like a marching band echoed through the house. Doors slammed and furniture moved on its own. George claimed Kathy levitated, and once the front door was ripped from its hinges. The haunting was no longer subtle, it was violent and destructive. Each new event pushed the family closer to breaking. The house felt possessed, not just haunted. The Lutzes were being driven out by something relentless. Their dream was gone, survival was all that mattered. The terror was now undeniable. Desperate, the Lutzes tried to bless the house themselves. George walked through with a crucifix, reciting the Lord's Prayer. The response was immediate. Voices demanded they stop, and the atmosphere turned suffocating. The house erupted with chaotic, terrifying activity. Their attempt to reclaim their home had backfired. This was the turning point. Hope gave way to despair. They realized they weren't just dealing with a ghost, but something far more powerful. The sense of helplessness was overwhelming. The failed blessing convinced them they couldn't coexist with whatever was there. The entity wanted them gone. This confrontation set the stage for their final, frantic night. The end was near. The climax came on January 14, 1976, their supposed 28th day. The house erupted in chaos, banging, crashing, furniture flying, and a suffocating presence. George claimed he was immobilized, the children screamed, and a hooded figure with glowing red eyes appeared. Fearing for their lives, the family fled with only the clothes on their backs. They never returned. They sought refuge at Kathy's mother's house, traumatized and bewildered. Their dream home was lost, but their family was safe. The image of a family fleeing in terror became the story's most iconic moment. For many, this desperate escape is the ultimate proof that something truly terrifying happened. The legend was born. After fleeing their home in terror, the Lutzes' story exploded into the public eye, capturing the imagination of a nation already fascinated by the supernatural. Their harrowing account of what happened inside the Amityville house quickly became headline news, with reporters and curious onlookers gathering outside the infamous address. Soon, renowned paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren visited the house, claiming to sense a powerful demonic presence. Their investigation led to the capture of the infamous Ghost Boy photo, which only fueled public fascination and fear. Jay Anson's book, The Amityville Horror, became an instant bestseller, transforming the Lutzes' ordeal into a cultural phenomenon. The 1979 film adaptation turned the house into a horror icon, drawing crowds and inspiring countless imitators. The Lutzes gained international fame, and with it, intense scrutiny. Suddenly, they were thrust into the spotlight, their every move watched and analyzed by the public and the press. Journalists and skeptics began dissecting their claims, searching for inconsistencies and possible motives behind the sensational story. Weather and police records didn't match the Lutz's account, and Father Pecoraro, the priest involved, gave conflicting statements about his experiences in the house. The story became a full-blown media circus, blurring the line between fact and fiction as the world debated what really happened. The Lutz's trauma was now a public spectacle, their private fears and pain broadcast for all to see. Their experience, whether real, exaggerated, or misunderstood, was packaged and sold to the world, spawning merchandise, sequels, and endless retellings. Commercialization made the story famous, but also cast doubt on its truth, as critics questioned whether profit had overshadowed reality. The family was forced to defend themselves against accusations of a hoax, facing legal battles and public confrontations. The debate over their story's authenticity began immediately, and never really stopped, with believers and skeptics locked in heated arguments for decades. In the end, the controversy itself became part of the legend, ensuring that the Amityville story would haunt the public imagination for generations to come. So, what are we left with? The Lutzes always insisted their experience was real, supported by the Warrens and the infamous photo. Believers see the DeFeo murders, the Lutz testimony, and the evidence as proof of evil at 112 Ocean Avenue. Skeptics point to inconsistencies, lack of evidence, and claims that the story was invented for profit. Even DeFeo's lawyer said it was all concocted over wine. The truth likely lies somewhere in between. Maybe fear and stress amplified real events, or maybe it was all a hoax. Or perhaps it's simply a story that can never be proven. The mystery is what keeps us coming back. Amityville is more than a ghost story. It's a study in belief, memory, and suggestion. The house still stands, a monument to tragedy and mystery. And maybe that's why we can't stop trying to solve it.